Kveinys, or Big Al as a lot of us knew him, was a gentle giant. He was a fantastic guy who unfortunately passed away last week. I had the pleasure of meeting Kveinys on a number of occasions, mainly in Iceland, where he seemed to love the beer, the people, and everything about it. And the last time I was over there playing the Northern Lights competition, we were sharing a house together, along with Nihal Sarin and Mark Hedman and Torbjörn Hansen, among some others. And there was many a nights where we would go to the pub and share a beer, one of his favourite hobbies. And he was an amazing chap. He had an amazing memory of recalling puzzles, which he'd get out in the pub and he'd show us some puzzle from memory, chess puzzle that blew us all away. And you know, he also had a great reputation as being a brilliant coach and a brilliant endgame player, to name but a few. Now, Kveinys was awarded the Soviet Master of Sport title for chess in 1981. Like I said, he's a fantastic grandmaster who won the Lithuanian Championships on 5 different occasions. He did die much to an early age, at the age of 56. Incredibly sad news for all of us. But I want to remember him as a jovial, happy soul who always made people around him feel good. And that really is a sign of a special individual. And we're going to look at a game he played here only, I think, about, quite recently, 4 years ago, so where he beat Gata Kamsky in America. And we'll move on to the chess very soon. Just some things about Kveinys that, opening wise, he had some very interesting ideas. I mean, there was one opening with the black side, so let's just flick the board, which started with e4. Kveinys always played the Sicilian pretty much with c5. And after e6, a sort of canned variation, this variation here with Queen b6 was something that you can really put down to him developing Kveinys. The idea was actually to stop bishop e3, even though it was found out later on that bishop e3 was still possible, a dangerous pawn sack line. But this was really a Kveinys variation. I myself, when I played him in Iceland, prepared for him against the move e6, and another variation which he probably was the world's leading expert in was the variation with c5, a sort of Tarrasch variation here. And he was he understood the positions here immensely, and he really, if you want to learn anything about this from the black point of view, I do recommend you look at Kveinys' games. But in this game he had the white pieces against the incredibly strong player Gata Kamsky, who really doesn't need an introduction. Kamsky is a legend of chess, and the game started with Kamsky trying to play g6. Now, Kveinys again had this very positional style, really from the Soviet era, where he played in a very good manner, not taking any overdue risks in the opening, but with a tremendous foundation which a lot of the Soviet champions have built their careers upon. And he just played knight to f3 and g3, and he was a very positional player, very hard to beat when he played with white. To break Kveinys down, his defences, I mean, he had a very good understanding of the game. Never get into an ending. That's one thing I wanted to avoid when I played him. Tremendous endgame player. And we had now Gata Kamsky going into Grunfeld opening, so that's where black mixes bishop g7 with d5. Kveinys simply took on d5, favouring to try to get a very small advantage, and here knight to e5, and this is a way to again try to gain the small advantage in a symmetrical position. e6 was played, he castled kingside, knight on f to d7, and now he simply moved the knight back to f3, basically saying, well, I think in this position, your knight on d7 is not very well placed. You're a higher rated player, so potentially if you come back to f6, I'll go back here, we can have a draw, and I can go and have a beer with my friends, which or maybe that's one thing which I'm exaggerating, but Kveinys did enjoy smiling and laughing with his friends over a good beer. And Instead, Kamsky played knight to c6, and Kveinys just played e3, knight to f6, again a symmetrical position. He now develops his bishop, the only piece that needs to come out, so not so much happening at the moment. Rook to e8, bishop b2, getting that piece developed, bishop d7, and now the knight comes back to e5, because black can no longer go knight d7 trying to fight for this knight. And again, it's very small positional play here, and this is one strength that Kveinys has, as well as an immense understanding of the game of chess. His understanding was a tremendous level, well above mine when I played him over in Iceland. He knew where the pieces should go, he knew what structures to aim for, and he knew in the ending pretty much anything about the ending. Very good education, and this is why one of the reasons he was a tremendous coach. He helped coach the Iranian national team, and they're one of the leading juniors now, probably a lot down to his guidance. Queen e7, and now he supported the knight on e5 with f4. Black put a rook upon the open file. Queen e2, connecting the rooks. White is relying on this knight here to give him a slight advantage, and I believe it should do, because black can't move his knight into e4 because the e4 square is not supported. So this one piece on e5 is very pleasant. If the piece is ever captured, white can recapture with either pawn. They both have their advantages. If you take with a d pawn, the knight moves. At some point this knight will try to get to the lovely outpost on d4, and it's a beautiful square. If you take with the f pawn, you have chances to attack on the f file. So bishop to e8 was played here. Kamsky, a brilliant defender. That's what makes this victory even more impressive. Kamsky losing symmetrical positions is so rare, but here Kveinys outplays him. Rook on f to c1, a6, and now knight to d3. And again, Kveinys had this amazing understanding at finding weakening squares. c5 is a weakening square, and after rook c7, this is where he plays a great idea. Knight to a4. The knight heads into another weakened square. If it can sit there, it will control the open file because it controls the c8 square, and it stops a piece coming into that square. So this is a very nice maneuver, finding some weakened squares in your opponent's position and moving into those squares. Knight to e4, knight to b6, and this knight is such a annoying piece for black, because you can never get a rook to c8. White has this control of the c file, and I really do like the way the simple play has put this world-class opposition into some problems already. Rook to d8, and now a4, just increasing the pressure on the queen side. Maybe the pawn will come to a5, supporting it. Maybe the bishop can now come to a3 because the rook defends that square. Nice positional play. Queen b6, knight to a5 would have been a better move, but it wasn't played. And now queen c2. The knight on c6 can now not move because of the rook, so just increasing the pressure little by little. Rook to b8, black is struggling to find a move. And with this move, the queen is given this square, and here again showing great understanding. What is the one active black piece? It's the knight on e4. When you have the opportunity to exchange off a piece, you should always think, is their piece better than mine? If it is, why not swap? And in this position, that knight is stronger than the bishop. So bishop takes a4 eliminates that piece, and after pawn takes, the only thing white needed to contend was here. Well, there is an open d5 square, but black cannot get a knight to that square easily. The light squares are slightly weakened around the white king because you've lost your bishop, but black can never get his light square bishop into the game. And after knight e5, the pressure increases, slowly but surely. Queen d8, bishop a3. Again, finding another better diagonal for the pieces. Each white piece is just finding the optimum square. Little maneuvers, no rush. We're not in a rush to capture that pawn on this square. That pawn can wait. Kamsky tries to start counterplay with g5, a good idea. a5, increasing the bind on the queen side. Pawn takes f4, pawn takes f4. And in this position, Kamsky is desperate to get this counterplay, so he plays f6. But this is really a mistake. He should have gone f5 and then try to get the bishop into the game. But I still prefer white. Simple chess. This is all you need to do to win games sometimes. This is why this game is so different to the other games I've shown recently. Just knight takes c6. If rook takes c6, we can now just take the pawn on e4. And the queen comes back to g2. We're a pawn up with a very nice position. Bishop takes c6 so as to save the pawn. But now queen c4. And another thing that white does masterfully in this game, he just finds little targets in the black position. The first thing was the b6 square, torturing black by putting that knight into that square. Now the e6 pawn, which cannot be defended. For example, if black tries to defend it with the queen, bishop d6 comes in, winning more material. Black can't move the bishop on c6 because of the rook. And if king f7, a move like f5 comes. So already black's position is falling apart. Bishop to f8, queen takes e6 check, king h8, and again, when you have a good position, simple chess. Bishop takes f8, just keep it simple. King h1, and here really, a player of Kveinys' level, the rest is easy. He's won a pawn by simple yet effective maneuvers. And he now plays very logical chess. I mean, this is the kind of chess you textbook style. Put your pieces on open files, get your knight to a good square, keep your queen active, and he just increases the pressure here. And you know, even beating Kamsky in a position like this is hard because Kamsky is such a great defender, but he now uses his one main trump, his extra d pawn. Past pawns must be pushed, and here the pressure is now increased on the position, and we can see little by little there's no rush at all. White tries to find a way into g7. The queen has to keep guard on that square. He now probes into the position, and this d pawn is the winner. So let's see, he wants to exchange queens on favorable position for him so his pawn can improve, and he just shows who the boss is by repeating. Now he says, okay, now I'll exchange queens now. And I love Kveinys' mannerisms. He's like, now we have to do this. Now it's easy, we probe, we win the ending. And again, he now shows his prowess in the ending, where he slowly but surely uses all of his pieces to great effect. Another quality move, because this pawn will drop, but the point of this idea is that he's going to have an outside pass pawn in the pawn ending. For example, bishop takes d7, and again this shows his great ending play. Was not played. If it was played, white can simply exchange everything off, and then after h4 gain a winning position. And this just shows great endgame skill. Having an outside pass pawn and a king and pawn ending is a real strong thing. For example, king e6, f4, f4, f5 check. Pawn takes king f4. And black is in zugzwang. White will take all the pawns because the black king has to come to the other side of the board. Again, great endgame style. King f7, black has to sit and wait. f5. g5, the only way to play, otherwise white gets another pass pawn. And now white just comes in, increasing the pressure. King e7. And here, a nice little maneuver, knight c4, knight d6 check, knight e8 check, knight takes f6, rook d3, and after knight takes g5, rook e7, it is clear that white is winning. He's got a very simple plan of combining this pawn, running down the board, unstoppable. And again, look at all these pieces just really working well together. Maybe Kamsky resigned slightly prematurely, but that was a typical Kveinys game. Very simple play, but simple on the outside does not mean simple on the inside. He made it look very simple, which is a real skill, but the way he slowly maneuvered his pieces in, finding weaknesses after weaknesses, improving bit by bit, and then playing a fantastic ending really was this beautiful, simple, yet very complex style that Kveinys had. and he'll be remembered very fondly by me, by many other players. He put a smile on a number of people, and I've got some pictures here of Kveinys that I just want to share with you before we end this video. He was loved by many people, as these tweets say. There's one picture of me there playing him only under a year ago in Iceland, but he really was a very jovial person, died far too young, but he will be remembered in very fond ways for what he gave to chess, and what he gave to the people he met. And my condolences to all his friends and family, but I know he left a very positive impression on all he met. So he'll be missed sorely, but he was a great player, and he did lighten up the lives of those people around him. So rest in peace, Big Al. And thank you for watching this video. Please like, please subscribe, and be back with more videos very soon. Goodbye.